Uh, last week we stopped at, I think this point. I'm not sure. Can I remember?
Yes,
We
sir.
are,
This is the place.
yeah, this is a place. I asked one of you to remind me. Right. We discussed about the collection documents, and now today what I'm going to do is to continue with this presentation, and Menaka may have uploaded. Menaka may have uploaded uh, the URC 522 to your systems. So you should be able to, if you don't have the URC 522 with you, you can uh, refer what he has uploaded, right? Otherwise, I know most of the trade finance guys, you must be having a copy of URC 522 with you, right? Because we are going to discuss certain articles and then to discuss the entire uh, balance articles of URC 522, which is very, very important, right? Okay. Uh, and I hope Menak has uploaded another document which I have requested, that is collection order form. I don't know whether Menaka is with me. If not, I will ask him to upload it. Right now, last week we discussed about what is collection, and before that we learned about advance payment and open account. Then we discuss about the collection. We discuss about the definition of collection, and then we further discuss about parties to a collection and the collection cycle, DP and DA collection cycle. Then we discuss various relationship between the parties, that is principal and the remitting bank, then the remitting bank and the collecting bank and the presenting bank, like that. The entire cycle, all the parties, all the parties of collection operations, the connection between those parties, right? Today we are going to discuss about delivery of financial and commercial documents and the risk involved. This is not DABF class, this is a DIT class. So I need all students who are involved in international trade to discuss certain areas, any gray areas, which when you are doing the operations in your respective banks, and to discuss it. Because this is a discussion forum. DIT is a discussion forum like CDCS, right? At least 60% of the students in this class are trade guys. So you have some idea. So this is your forum, right? Please stop. When you talk about the delivery of financial and commercial documents, we can discuss it under two main topics, that is DP and DA. DP means delivery of documents against payment. DA means delivery of documents against acceptance, right? So first we'll discuss what are the risks involved under when we release the documents under DP risk. If the importer refuses to pay, now DP means the remitting bank has given the instructions to the collecting bank to release the documents against payment. This is the most, uh, the better method, most favorable method to the exporter, because the documents are held at the bank. The bank will give the documents to the importer only if they pay, right? But some risk, we are going to discuss about some risk. If the importer refuses to pay, now importer will say, no, I'm not going to pay. The collecting bank, they are holding the documents. In a scenario like that, what we are going to do? The collecting bank acts on the exporter's instructions shown in the remitting bank schedule. It's very important. Always in the collection cycle, exporter is the principal. So we all act according to the instructions given to us by the principal, right? So collecting bank acts on the importer's instructions shown in the remitting bank schedule. The remitting bank schedule will include certain instructions to say, remove the goods from the port to a warehouse and insure them against fire, etc. There can be instructions like this, or you are getting these instructions very often. Remove the goods from the port to a warehouse and insure them against the fire. For example, if this is a perishable item, if the goods are perishable, then now the importer, maybe due to a certain, disagreement with the exporter, now the importer says, no, I'm not going to pay, I don't want this damn thing. So the remitting bank schedule, they have given us instructions in a scenario like that to remove the goods from the port to a warehouse and insure them against fire. Are we going to do your banks? Are you doing this in your banks? Are you doing this?
No, sir.
No. You are from which bank?
From Sampath Bank.
Sampath Bank. Sampath Bank is not doing. Any other bank who is doing? Any other bank who is doing? None of the banks are doing this. Right? None of the banks are doing this. Because we don't have warehouses in the first instance. Right? And we can't remove the goods from the port to a warehouse. Who is going to do that? Right? We are not going to do these things and to insure them against fire. Contact the case of need who may negotiate with the importer. That's a possible thing. In collection order form, you get a case for case of need. In case if there's a problem, please contact so and so. Case of need. Right? So we can contact the case of need and tell them, okay, this is the issue, problem, and the importer is refusing to pay. Collection instruction says if there's a problem to contact you. Now we have contacted you and we have informed you the thing. Right? Okay. The first one, we are not doing this. Right? The other one is protest the bill through the bank's lawyers. Protest the bills through bank's lawyers. I mean, all three, we have to discuss when we are discussing the URC 522. The first one, remove the goods from the port to warehouse and insure them against fire, etc. URC 522, Article 10. URC 522, Article 10. Case of need, Article. Case of need, can somebody tell me the article? Article 25. Protest the bill through bank's lawyers, Article 24. Protest. Right? All three I am going to discuss with you people separately. Okay? DA risk. Under DA terms, the importer accepts the bill for payment on the due date because they accept the bill of exchange to pay on the due date and take the documents and clear the goods. After that, the exporter loses control of them. And what are the risks? More than DP, we are having a lot of risk involved in DA. One is importer might refuse to pay on the due date. The importer will say on the due date, now he has accepted the bill of exchange to pay after 90 days. On the 90th day, he will come and tell you, no, I'm not going to pay because he has found that the goods are not what he had ordered. So he said, this is not the good I have ordered, so I'm not going to pay. Right? Or he will say he has not been able to sell the goods, even though he has cleared the goods and put it for selling in the market. He has not been able to sell the goods. He is prepared to cheat the exporter. Some people are like that. Now, he has accepted the draft and cleared the goods and sold the goods, but he doesn't pay because he wants to cheat the exporter. Right? In these cases, the exporter can protest the bill and take the importer to court, but this can be expensive in both ways. I mean, earlier also under DP also, uh, we can protest the bill, right? Exporter can protest the bill, but this procedure is very, very expensive. Very, very expensive. The importer might have gone bankrupt, and because of that, the exporter will probably never get the money. Never get the money. Right? All these things can happen. Right? Shall we discuss few things? And if possible, we will discuss. If possible, we will discuss the 3 articles also. Then one by one, we are going to finish it off. Right? Again, I don't have to discuss. Wait, I'll check with. Can you see the URC 522 in the on your screens? URC 522 articles. Can you see? Coming there, can you ask Menaka to call me? I don't know whether he has uploaded the URC 522. මට ඒක පොඩ්ඩක් බලන්න ඕන. මොකද මේ ළමයි මොකද කියන්නේ? මම මේ කම්ප්ලේන්ට් කරන්න ඉස්සෙල්ලා ඔයගලන්ට බලන්න පුළුවන්ද? Can you see the URC 522 is uploaded?
So it was uploaded on the previous day, sir. Not this time. On the last time we had the classes, it was uploaded.
So you can see that.
I got a printout out of it.
Uh,
I don't know whether the other.
they ask everybody to take a printout. Right. In that case, I will uh, I will not ask them to upload it again if they have uploaded. Right. It is up to you to hari kawin eglo upload කරලා තියෙන්නේ. ගිය සමාන කරලා ඒගොල්ලෝ උඩින් දැන් ගත්තාම තුන්වෙනි post එකේ URC 522 collection order form එකක් තියෙනවද? ඔව් අනේක මේනකට කියනවා collection order form එක upload කරන්න කියලා. Right, okay. Right, it is there uploaded. So you got, I told you to get a printout and keep it with you because you need that, right? Okay. Let's discuss about the Article 10. Let's discuss about the Article 10. One by one, we'll ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේව mark කරලා තියාගන්න. මොනවාද discuss කරන articles කියලා. Right. Documents, Article 10, documents versus goods, services, and performance. Article 10A, it says goods should not be dispatched directly to the address of a bank or consigned to or to the order of a bank without prior agreement on the part of the particular bank. Right? Right. In this one, it says remove the goods from the port to a warehouse and blah blah blah. So when we are sending the documents, we should not consign the goods to the order of a bank, right? Because banks are not involved in collection, documentary collection. We are only acting as an agent. Otherwise, we don't have any responsibilities or obligations, right? Nevertheless, in the event that the goods are dispatched directly to the address of a bank or consigned to or to the order of a bank for release to a drawee against payment or acceptance or upon their terms and conditions without prior agreement on the part of the bank, such bank shall have no obligations to take delivery of the goods, which remain at the risk and responsibility of the party dispatching the goods. I told you, now, if without any agreement, if the remitting bank has sent the goods, documents with the BL consigned to the bank, the bank can refuse taking the goods, right? Because banks has nothing to do with the goods, services, or performance. We are only handling with documents, right? So you can't expect the banks to clear the goods and remove the goods from the port to a warehouse and insure them against fire and etc. Okay. Banks have no obligations to take any action in respect of the goods to which the document trade relates. Even though the banks have been instructed to do this and do that, banks have no obligations to for any action in respect of goods to which a documentary collection relates, including storage and insurance of the goods, even when specific instructions are given to do so. Even if they are given instructions, bank have no obligations to attend, right? That is one thing. You have to read the entire Article 10A, B, C, D, and E, right? So please read it. Then you can understand what are the repercussions of this article, right? But normally, what is happening is, even if you put or not that you have to remove the goods from the port to a warehouse and insure them against fire, the bank can refuse. The collecting bank can refuse. Normally, most of the prudent banks in Sri Lanka and as worldwide, right, all the good banks, when we receive the documents, it is customary for us to send an acknowledgement. When we are sending the acknowledgement, we make it a point to mention that we will not undertake to remove the goods from the port to a warehouse and insure them against fire, etc. We will not undertake. Right? We accept, or we confirm having received the documents under the collection order, but however, we would like to state that we will not take any action to remove the goods from the port to a warehouse and insure them against fire, etc. Right? That is one thing. Other one is case of need. Case of need is Article 25. Article 25, case of need says, if the principal nominates a representative to act as case of need in the event of non-payment and or non-acceptance, the collection instruction should clearly and fully indicate the powers of such case of need. In the absence of such indication, banks will not accept any instruction from the case of need. Right? What do you mean by that? In a collection order, if you are mentioning a case of need, then you have to mention the power of the case of need. Otherwise, even if they give us some orders, we have the right not to act on it. Right? Just for the sake of having the case of need, we can inform them. There's a problem like this. But then they will say, it's okay. Then you release the goods to not A, release the goods to B. We can't do that. We can't do that. Unless otherwise we have the written agreement. Okay? Right. Then protest the bill through the bank's lawyer. What do you mean by protest? Protest is a legal procedure. When the documents are not being paid or not being accepted and whatever thing, the remitting bank may have given instructions to the collecting bank to protest. Right? Protest is a legal procedure. Under protest, we have to file the case in the courts. We have to file the case in the courts within 24 hours. Within 24 hours. Can we do that for non-payment? Can we do that? No. We can't do that. Right? And after all, the under collection, banks are not responsible for anything. And anyway, we can't do it. Even if you want to do it, we can't do it within 24 hours. So there's a thing called noting and protesting. Noting and protesting. N-O-T-I-N-G. Noting. Noting and protesting. Noting and protesting means we first will have to get the bill of exchange noted by a notary public. Every bank we have a notary public. Right? Your legal department must be having a notary public, that is a lawyer with a notary license. So what is happening is First, we can immediately note it. It's another legal procedure. And then we have time to file the case later. We have time to protest the thing later. But first thing we have to say noted. Right? By noted Eva, noting and protesting is a very expensive thing. It's a very expensive thing. In these cases, the exporter can protest the bill and take the importer to court, but this can be very expensive. Right. Banks' role and their income in collection operations. Banks' role and their income in collection operations. Both the remitting bank and the collecting bank act as agents of the importer, agents of the exporter, protecting his interest. Their first responsibility is to the exporter, even if the importer is a customer of the collecting bank. Right? Even though the importer is your customer, you have the first priority responsibility to the exporter. Banks have no financial interest in an ordinary collection. The remitting bank may finance the exporter if it is confident that the importer will pay, but this does not affect the collecting bank in any way. Banks provide a trade and credit information service to each other and for the benefit of their customers. Right? So the banks, they have TCI report system, trade and credit information. That is very, very important. A lot of banks are not doing this, right? But we have to charge the customer and then do a certain trade and credit information to obtain trade and credit information of the counterparty, right? Of the counterparty. Customers, both exporters and importers should be encouraged to use this service regularly for their own protection. This TCI reporting is a very, very important thing. A lot of banks are not doing this, but you have to do it, and we encourage them to do it. Right? Bank's income. Let's go through this. You can read. When we are doing collection, what are the income for the bank? One is commission. We collect commission. Sometimes we collect 0.25%. Some banks, they collect flat charge, handling fee. This bank to bank, it is different. It can be fixed or pro rata basis. Banks' tariff of charges are different, right? And the foreign exchange profit. How the foreign exchange profit? Bankers, tell me. Don't just listen to me, huh? Make it a discussion forum. Why foreign exchange profit? How come? How come? Right? When you received a collection order with the bills, when you are doing the payment, you have to do a conversion of rupees to the foreign currency. For that, you have to use a rate. right? Conversion rate. So based on the conversion rate, the bank always keep a profit, foreign exchange profit. Normally, tell me, the guys who are doing the collection, tell me, what is the rate we are using, buying or selling?
Selling.
Yes, we are using the selling rate. We are using the selling rate. Selling rate is when we are using the selling rate, we always keep at least for a margin. We keep a margin, right? Right. Then these are the income. Any other income you can suggest? Sampath Bank, that you're answering that. And are there any other commission you are charging or any other income to the banks? Right? I don't want
Handling charges.
handling charges. I have mentioned commission and handling charges.
Telex charges,
Yeah.
shift charges, shift charges,
Yes, shift charges. Shift charges comes under shift commission or handling charges. Everything under handling charges, and shift, all those things comes under that. I think I have covered the most important two areas, that is foreign exchange profit and the commission. I think more than the commission, foreign exchange profit is a good profit to the bank, right? Right. I have put notes here. Refer URC 522, Article 5. Article 5 describes presentation as the act of a presenting bank making document available to the drawee. Right? These are some areas where you can add more value. Right? Article 5. Article 5. Article 5 presentation is a long article, right? Read it and then refer to these notes, right? Here the presentation describes the presentation as an act of a presenting bank making documents available to the drawee. Right? Now, I told you there are two types of banks in the importers side. That is collecting bank and the presenting bank. In most cases, the presenting bank and the collecting bank is the one and same. But there are instances where two banks can get involved. For example, if a customer, the exporter, is from Dubai and their bank is Standard Chartered Bank. They are banking with Standard Chartered Dubai. So when they hand over certain documents to be sent to Sampath Bank, importers bank is Sampath Bank, right? The group, as per the group policy of Standard Chartered Bank, they will send, Standard Chartered Dubai will send the documents to Standard Chartered Colombo. That is their group policy, right? Then Standard Chartered Colombo will be the collecting bank. The presenting bank is the bank who will present the documents to the drawee. So the presenting bank is Sampath Bank. So Standard Chartered Colombo will send the documents to the presenting bank, Sampath Bank. Right? But definitely Standard Chartered is making some handling charges. But that is their procedure. As outlined in Article 6, for documents payable at site, a presenting bank must make payment without delay. If the collection is payable at a future date, then the presenting bank must obtain acceptance without delay and make presentation of the accepted draft to the drawee importer not later than the maturity date. Right? It is understood. Article 7 addresses the release of commercial documents. How we are going to release the commercial documents. If commercial documents are to be delivered against payment, the collection instruction is not to include draft payable at future date. If the delivery against payment, DP terms, right, then you should not have drafts drawn for 90 days or 60 days or like that for a future date, right? In the event that a collection instruction nevertheless includes a draft payable at a future date, there should be an indication as to whether the commercial documents are to be released against payment or acceptance. This is very important article, Article 7. Okay, if I ask some question like this, you have received a set of documents, collection documents, with a bill of exchange, 60 days, 60 days site, 60 days site. The moment you see the bill of exchange, you have to pay after 60 days, right? After 2 months. But the collection, I'm sorry, bill of exchange is DP. Bill of exchange is DP. Or even, okay, I don't mind. Even 60 days, the bill of exchange. And the collection instructions says, documents, please release documents against payment. Please release documents against payment. It is contradicting. The schedule says documents against payment. Release documents against payment, DP. Whereas the bill of exchange is for 60 days, DA. How we are going to release the documents? In a scenario like that, how we are going to release the document? Under DP or DA?
Under DP.
Under?
DP.
Under DP only. Under DP only. Right? Even though the draft is there, no way, right? If the instructions are given to release the documents against payment, then only DP. If there's any conflict of the instructions given, you have to stick to DP. You have to stick to DP. As expounded upon in Article 8, it can, on occasion, be the case that the remitting bank instruct either the collecting bank or the drawee to create its own document. As per the Article 8, sometimes the remitting bank will instruct the collecting bank or the drawee to create its own documents, maybe a letter of undertaking like that. So we have, once we have prepared the letter of undertaking and release the documents, and later we found the remitting bank will say, that is not the document I need. It is not a legal document. The collecting bank can't do anything. They have done the correct thing. If the remitting bank wants to have a specific type of undertaking, then they have to give the specimen. Otherwise, the bank is not liable. Bank is not liable. Right. The first part I have done. Now I want to check your knowledge. Answer the first question. Read it carefully and answer the first question.
A.
An exporter is approached by a new foreign buyer, but this buyer is unable to provide either satisfactory credit reference or a letter of credit.
D.
What
Advance
method,
payment.
what method of paying uh, is appropriate for this transaction?
Advance payment.
Advance payment. But one of you has mentioned A. Are you going to change your stance? A or D? Obviously not B and C. Between A and D, read the question very carefully. An exporter is approached by a new foreign buyer. New foreign buyer. But this buyer is unable to provide either satisfactory credit references or a letter of trade. මෙයාගා ලෝක උත්තරයක් නේද? එක්කෙනෙක් එකක් new foreign buyer. Brand new. We don't know anything about it. And then he is unable to provide satisfactory credit reference. That means his accounts are useless and he can't submit a LC. Then what is the best method? Answer is D, advance payment. Okay, if you want the goods, send me the money, then I will send the goods. This one, what is the correct answer?
So B.
Sorry,
B.
D.
B.
D.
Yeah, second one.
Second one. Any other answers? Any other answers?
Both B and C.
Both B and C.
C.
Any other answers? Right. So we have got two answers. B and D. Both B and C. Which is the correct one? A, buyer's country is politically unstable. We are not going to touch. Right? We are not sure. The buyer is creditworthy, but has a record of slow payment. He is creditworthy. He is honest, creditworthy guy, but has a record of slow payment. Right? But anyway, you can be assured about your money. There is some buyer's risk, but there is a market for the goods in the buyer's country. What about C? Do you think it's a that explain a good background? Tell me. there is some bias risk. Bias not sure. But there's a good market for that particular goods in the biased country. There's no point of having a good market if the buyer is risky. So therefore, we don't take C also. Then obviously, the D is also wrong. Correct answer is B. The buyer is creditworthy, but has a record of slow payment. This one. What do you think? These are good questions to check your understanding. What is the answer? A, B, C, or D?
C.
Pardon?
Collection. C. Collection 60 days term.
60 days, term bill.
Term bill.
Term bill. Any other answers? Any other answers? Correct answer is C. Collection 60 days term bill. Because it says it expect to be able to sell the goods within 2 to 3 days. Right? Then 60 days term bill account අපි ගොඩ නේද? Answer is C. 4. It is very easy. මම උත්තරය අහන්නෙත් නැහැ. Who is the principal? In a collection, who is the principal?
Exporter. A.
Exporter. Exporter. Number 5. කරන්න බලන්න. තනි. මේක ටිකක් ඔයගලන්ට එහාට මට හිත ගන්න ඕන. After reading the question, identify who is the remitting bank, who is the collecting bank, who is the presenting bank. Who is the collecting bank?
South Bank.
Huh?
West Bank.
Who is the collecting bank? West bank.
West Bank.
And who is the remitting bank? Who is the remitting bank?
South Bank.
South bank. For whom is West bank? That means, in other words, collecting bank. In this process. A, for its own customer. B, South bank. C, for the export of the goods. D, above B and C.
B. South Bank.
B, South bank. Any other
B.
answers?
South Bank.
Any other answers? Any other answers? Think. මම මේ උගන්ට දැන් ඔක්කොම දැන් උගන්නපු ටික දැන් මතක නැහැ පොඩ්ඩක් ඉස්සලා කිව්වා.
C.
C. C, for the export of the goods. Right? Actually, it is for the export of the goods, because all the banks are agents of the principal. All the banks are agents for the principal. Some people might go for above B and C, right? Above B and C. No, answer is C, exporter, right? Exporter is the one who gives the instructions to the remitting bank, South Bank. South Bank just relay the instructions of the exporter. They can't give, South Bank can't give fresh instructions. They have to just relay the instructions. They are acting as an agent, right? Therefore, the answer is C. This is a very good question. Make a question එක හොඳට කියවන්න. Make a, when you are reading there, between the lines, there are certain things. You have to read between lines. මේක letter of credit අපි කරලා නැහැ. ඒ වුණාට ඔයගොල්ලන්ට උත්තරයක් හොයාගන්න පුළුවන්. Agritech in UK are shipping farm machinery valued at GBP 100,000 to a new customer in France. New customer in France. Okay. Now
Letter of credit. C, letter of credit.
yeah. You are from Sampath?
Sumudhu from Singer.
So we are from India. Now, in this particular question, you have to understand certain few areas, very important areas. MCQs කියවද්දී හොඳට කියවන්න ඕන. One is valued at GBP 100,000. GBP 100,000 is a big amount. It's a big amount. And to a new customer in France. To a new customer in France. Right? එතකොට අපි දැනගන්න ඕන customer මොන જાතිය මිනිහෙක්ද කියන එක. New customer, and amount is big, and the buyers are unwilling to pay in advance. That means their cash flow situation is not so good. They are unwilling to pay in advance. Of the remaining payment methods, what do you think Agritech would prefer? Open account trading? No way. Documentary collection? Yes and no, but why I am saying no, amount is GBP 100,000, big amount, and a new customer, right? If they have taken the goods and vanished, you'll be in a real fix. No bank guarantee. So the correct answer should be letter of credit C. Letter of credit C. 7. A, true or false?
False.
False.
False. This false. B, A documentary collection provides a means whereby an exporter may retain control over the goods that have been dispatched by sea.
True.
True, sir.
It is true because if it is dispatched by sea, then we get a
May retain.
bill of lading. And bill of lading is a title document. And if the bill of lading is paid to the order of the bank or something, it may get you to retain the control. Right? So because of that, answer is true. Who prepares the bill of exchange? The buyer or seller?
Seller.
Seller.
Seller. The 9 match the following parties in the bill of exchange. The exporter is
Row.
right. Importer
Yo, we
or he.
Okay.
Then the exporter's bank is the payee.
pay.
Which of the following International Chamber of Commerce ICC publication governs dealing in documentary? Oh, question is documentary credit. Can somebody answer?
DCP 600.
DCP 600.
If I say dealing in documentary collection,
A.
if I say documentary collection,
URC
URC
522.
yeah, A, URC 522. Right? Okay. Not bad. Right? Now, then I will continue with the next one. Can you see this presentation?
So before that, can I ask one single question?
Yeah.
Now, sir, you explained that foreign exchange income is one of main income that banks can get through that collection of documents.
Yeah.
Now, in case, assume the exchange rates is nowadays there are highly volatile market in the exchange, and there are so lot of deviation between the banks of the exchange rates.
Yeah.
If we settle one of the bank's payment through another bank, is it possible? Is it possible to banks to charge any charges against that leave of settlement or something?
If you mean you receive the collection to a bank. If you say Sampan Bank receives the collection,
Yes.
right? And once you receive the collection, according to the collection order, they will request Sampat Bank to do the payment as per the collection order. In the collection order, they will give these are the remitting banks banking information, right?
Yes.
So they will give you a specific instruction to the collecting bank, and we expect the collecting bank to do the payment. And if because of these small issues of we are talking about few basis points. I think you're calling from finger.
Yes.
All right. I suspected, right? Because bankers will never ask a question like this. Because of few basis points. Every bank is uh, every bank is I mean what we call this will have very competitive rate with each other. Otherwise, the banks can't exist. But definitely there will be some changes, a few basis points. Even if it comes 5 basis points or 10 basis points, if you do the transaction, if you do the conversion, the difference will be about 750 rupees or 1000 rupees or 1500. Right? But for that, if you are going to do the payment through another bank, if you are going to do the payment through another bank, now that bank, how they are going to do it without a underlying transaction? Under what category they are doing? They are going to do that because that's the question.
So they can, yeah. No,
That's the
actually, sir,
question you ask.
nowadays that exchange rate difference between the banks is not in the basis point. Sometimes it will come around 1 or 2 rupees.
Okay, okay. Forget about basis point. You said Sampat Bank is more than 5 rupees than Standard Chartered. Standard Chartered is 5 rupees less. Sampat Bank is 5 rupees more. So you are going to ask Standard Chartered to do the payment. That's what you are going to do.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes,
So Standard Chartered is
yes.
doing based on what underlying transaction. What is the underlying
Don't
transaction for them? Because
normally that other banks are requested to send that confirmation through the banks. I mean, through SIP message, they are mentioning that these are the bills with us and whether early settle or not. To this kind of supplier, and they are sending SIP messages to other bank. So as you know, SCB, some normally foreign banks normally they are having a lot of exporters and they are having dollars. Sometimes they might be able to give a better rate than some local banks. In that case, if that particular banks confirm the transaction to the SCB, they can do the settlement through Nostro accounts. In that case, can
Sumudu,
Sampath Bank
Sumudu, I know,
charge any additional charges?
Sumudu, I know what you are trying to do, trying to tell me, right? But my understanding is it is not ethical. It is unethical practice. There are so many unethical practices in the market, right? The treasury guys are creating very lot of unethical practices. Some banks they will go for it. Some banks they will go for it because they want some business. If they are not getting direct business, they want something, some other business, right? But ethically, it is not done because in, documents have been. If the documents have been received by Sampath Bank, I'm taking only the examples, right? Actually, not Sampath Bank or Standard Chartered. It is for easy reference. Uh, if the documents have been received by Sampath Bank, if we have taken the documents from Sampath Bank, if you have taken the documents from Sampath Bank on DP terms, if you have taken the documents from Sampath Bank, right, then you have to take the documents from Sampath Bank. Otherwise, you have to ask the remitting bank a swift message to Sampath Bank to say, please transfer this set of documents to Sampath Bank, as to Standard Chartered Bank. Right? Then they will transfer the documents to uh, Standard Chartered Bank. Then the Standard Chartered Bank will be the Crescentim Bank. From Standard Chartered, you will pay and collect the documents. That is possible. That is possible, right? But if it is a DA, right? Now you have taken the documents from Sampath Bank. Now Sampath Bank, even they have gone to the, they have uploaded the CUSDEC. The CUSDEC also, because as a customer, you are not bothered about banks, CUSDEC and all those things, right? You are only thinking about your rupees and cents, right? Whether it's correct or not, you are not bothered. I'm telling you. Now, this one, the bankers, please join this discussion because this is a very good discussion, right? And I hats off to Sumudu to bring these things up because then Sampath Bank has released the documents against acceptance. you have accepted the draft to be paid on after 90 days. On the 90th day, you will not pay the bill through Sampath Bank. Instead that, you will ask Standard Chartered to send the money out. Is that the one you are trying to tell me?
Yes, sir, because sometimes normally bank states they also
No. I
yeah.
want only yes or no answer. Is it yes? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Right.
Yes.
Okay. Is it ethical? Is it ethical for you to do it? And the other thing, when then Standard Chartered is transferring $100,000, what is the underlying transaction? Only a letter from you. What is underlying transaction? They have not received any transactions. So they are wrong. Standard Chartered is wrong. But just for the sake of getting some money, the commission, they will do it. So it is not a correct thing to do, but they will do it. We can't stop people doing wrong things and the correct things, right? But what I'm trying to tell you is, you can create all sort of new ways to save some money, right? But my prime question is it ethical? Sampath Bank, what is your opinion?
So, certain extent,
So
so sometimes
in this case, sir, the benefit for Standard Chartered is whether are they getting the charges relevant to this transaction? I mean,
They are not getting any. They are not getting any charges. So you have collected the charges, Sampath Bank.
yeah,
Sampath Bank has collected the charges when you are releasing. But
yeah,
but you are going to lose your foreign exchange income.
okay.
Right? You are going to lose the foreign exchange income. But my question is, on what condition the Standard Chartered is going to remit this money out? Forget about this. If the central bank knows about these things, I don't know what's going to happen, because the country's money is going out anyway. Its country's money is going out, right? But ethically, is it correct? Ethically, is it correct? In that case, Samudra, what you people have to do is to next time to get all your instruct all your customers to send all the collection orders to Standard Chartered, because they are giving a better rate. Finish. Rather than getting the documents through one bank and doing the payment through another bank.
Actually, sir, this is actually real scenario, right? Nowadays, markets is highly illiquid. With that, some certain banks may ask if you can get dollars for that price, you can come up with money with dollars and settle us our bills. So normally that is going on right now, and even I think that central bank also have they want to have they willing to have better offer rates, I mean, to reduce the exchange rates.
Okay, I'm not going to go on arguing, because I have
Whatever the market goes.
But but this one I'm going to ask the central bank exchange control department whether it is permissible. That I will ask, and I will come back to you next week.
Yes, at that time you just check whether is it possible to charge any additional charges for the collecting bank in lieu of exchange.
If the transactions are not going through, they have the right to charge. If the transactions are not going through in lieu of exchange, they have the right to charge. Right? So then you have to see to adapt your exchange earning, how much you are going to get, and minus in lieu of something, then how much you are getting. If because I have worked in many foreign banks, Standard Chartered, HSBC, here and abroad, in a scenario like that, I used to charge in lieu of exchange 0.25% flat. Either you pay me, do the transaction through me, or pay me 0.25%. That is much more than my exchange profit. I am happy. You do whatever you want. I don't worry. Right? That is the thing the bank should do for stop these malpractices. Anyway, I'm going to check with this in the central bank. I don't know whether I can do it next week. Only 3 days, 3 working days. Only 3 working days. So let's see. Yeah, only 3 working days. අපි බලමු මම බලන්න මට චෙක් කරගන්න ඕන මට ඒක ඔක වෙන්න කරගන්න පුළුවන්ද කියන එක. ඔක මේ හොඳ ප්‍රශ්නයක් ඔයගලන්ගේ.
Excuse me, sir. In the same manner, if they settle the bill through another bank, the bill is still remaining in the bank.
Can I know your name?
I'm Vihanga from Sampath Bank.
Sampath Bank, okay.
In the same manner, if he has settled the bill through another bank, then the documents has received to it has been received to our bank. Then the bill will be remaining, and
the bill will be remaining, yes.
And they can pay that amount, or they can duplicate the bills and they can send 2 remittances to the supplier's bank. So then it will lead to money laundering or something.
Definitely. This is what I'm going to ask the central bank. This is what this is what I'm going to ask the central bank. This is leading to money laundering because some
even though they declare,
because later they can, once the rates are down, you can they can do the transaction through you also, because in your case your transaction is pending, right? No need to do it on the same day. Even after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they can do it, because last week, the rates went up to 206, came down to 191, 192. All of a sudden, if you want to do transaction, Patas, you do it, right? Patas, you do it.
But sir, I have a different argument on that, sir. Normally, that particular other bank has to take a confirmation from the collecting bank that particular dollars are going to use to settle those bills. Likewise, there is a SWIFT message they are taking from the other bank, that collecting bank, before they remit the money.
Let's check, because these are new practices which I am not aware, which is I think specific to some companies, some treasurers, right? So they want to show that this is what we are going to do it. Let's see then how we are going to mark the custody, the payments, all those things are open questions. So let's think about it, because I can't give any ruling to say whether it's right or wrong, which I'm going to ask the central bank. I will check with them and I'll come back to you.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks for taking the time for this.
If you are doing a wrong thing, then it will be a problem for you also. Okay. Now let's continue with the document recollection. The second part, the role of the remitting bank. But thank you very much, Sumudu, for bringing those things, and the Sampath Bank also, because this is what I need in this DIT class. The discussions, arguments, and whether we come to an agreement or not, but we should open some discussions, right? So this type of discussions is very, very important. Please continue this, right? This is the correct trend in this particular class. The role of the remitting bank in monitoring and control of the collection process. The role of the remitting bank in monitoring and control of the collection process, right? The role of the exporter's bank is to follow his instructions on the method of collecting payment from the importer. The role of the remitting bank in monitoring and control of the collection process. The role of the exporter's bank, that is remitting bank, is to follow his instructions on the method of collecting payment from the importer, whether it's DP or DA. From now onwards, please note, this is very, very important to bankers, especially for bankers, because nobody is discussing these particular areas, the controls and procedures, right? So if you are working in collection desk, right, see whether you are doing the correct thing. If not, like Sumudu, come up with your practices where we can discuss, right? Always the best practices are welcome. There is no legal obligation for the bank to check documents, but it should warn its customer of defects that may cause delays. This is, after all, part of good customer service. In the collection order form, have they already downloaded that collection order form? Can you see? Sumudu, can you check the systems and see whether it is downloaded? Sorry, uploaded? Not download, uploaded. Collection order form. Right. In the collection order form, this is a collection specimen collection order form which you all have to fill when you are submitting the documents to the remitting bank, that is your bank, right? And you can see what are the things you have to fill and why you are using the collection order form. Tell me, from the banker's side, why the banks uses collection order forms? Why can't you ask the customer to send it under their covering letter? Why? Why? Why you are asking your customers to fill the specific form? Each bank, NDB bank, it may be very much similar, but maybe one or two differences. Sampath is also like that. Bank to bank, there will be small differences, but basically, this is the structure. Why? Why we are having a standard format, standard form to fill? Any reason? Why can't the customer submit the documents along with their covering letter? හිතාගන්න බැයිද?
They can get the situation from one look at the covering document, and they can get the situation and not have to go through all of the documents individually.
Not specifically, but the reason is, if you allow the customers to submit their documents along with their covering letter, customer A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H up to Z, 26 customers will submit 26 letters, right? For example, in case, I know Standard Chartered and all, I mean, sometimes the collection is handled by not very senior guy or a girl with 1 or 2 years experience, unmarried girl. That guy from that company, අන්තිමේදී my darling Rosie කියලාත් එවයි covering letter එක, right? My darling Rosie කියලාත් covering letter එක එවයි. එක එක විදිහට එවන්න පුළුවන්. And the vital information you might miss. And not only that, when the customer sends some instructions on their letterhead and covering letter, then you have to read the whole thing to see whether there's any instructions in between the lines, right? So it's a time-consuming thing and very risky thing. So that is why all banks have decided to have a standard form, right? Normally, these forms have been, formatted by the banks, respective banks, because nowadays everything will be uploaded to a system, right? The system එක upload කරන්න එන order එකටම තමයි අපි instructions ටිකක් දාගන්නේ. Beneficiary's name, then draw V's address, right? Everything, yeah. Amount, Incoterm, everything. You have to just tick it, right? Then you get the number of documents and type of documents you have submitted. Bill of exchange 1, BL 3 out of 3, invoice, commercial invoice 2 copies. You have to put the numbers, right? Like that. Inspection certificate 1, right? Fire treasury certificate 1, like that. You will list out. Once you list out and once you submit the documents, then they will ask, how about the bill of lading, whether to be endorsed to the bank or not, and then case of need, if there's a case of need, and who is a case of need, all those things, whether to protest or not, transshipment allowed or not allowed, all those things you will tick, and you will not miss anything. The bank will also not miss anything, right? So they strictly adhere to the instructions given by the exporter because he is the principal. That is why we always wanted to have these documents in a bank's format, agreed format, right? I don't know whether banks are accepting customers covering letters. If I am a banker, I will not. Capital not, right? There are customers trying to play games with us because they think that they are the biggest people. And they are the people who are giving us a lot of business. So then because of that, you have to do every damn thing we want. No. It is yes with certain banks. A bank like me will never bow down my head, right? If the bank is having rule, yes, you have to do it according to the rule. No deviations, right? And it is easy for the bank because banks might miss certain things. Because I'll tell you one thing, when you're sending the covering letter, if they have not mentioned in the covering letter, that's customer's covering letter, this is subject to URC 522, the bank will not mention it. The remitting bank can mention only what the drawer has mentioned, the exporter has mentioned. Others they can't add. If they have done anything additionally, it is at the risk of the remitting bank. They are at risk, right? So because of that, in the standard forms, it is always printed this subject to URC 522, right? So when we are sending the thing also, there are so many case studies you can find where the banks are sending documents without mentioning whether it is subject to URC 522. Then what is going to happen? Those things we are going to discuss, right? and there is no legal obligation for the bank to check documents. They have no legal obligation, but should warn its customer of defects that may cause delays. This is, after all, part of good customer service. For example, number one thing what you have to do is to count it and see whether all the copies are, or the originals of copies, whatever the number of documents are there. That you have to tick before you send. And then you have to see the commercial invoice and the bill of lading. Commercial invoice and the bill of lading. Because if you say some big customers who are busy with a lot of they have sister companies under their main company, right? And this particular department is handling all those imports and exports. Now, for example, if you say, just for an example, if I say Hades are having many companies, export companies, many, right? Deep products and other acquire products and lot. So if one person is handling all those things, he can, by mistake, due to an oversight, he can attach a wrong BL or wrong commercial invoice to this document. So the documents, the commercial invoice says, if you say some choir items, commercial invoice, choir items. But when it comes to the BL is for some rubber items. So two different things. It's a genuine mistake, nothing else. Because that person, one person is handling maybe 2 or 3 companies. So it can happen. So that is why the banks, the remitting bank, as a prudent bank, even though legally there's no obligation to check the documents, but you have to check whether the documents are in line with each other, at least. Right? It's a good customer service. Because customers are also human beings. They can make mistakes. Right? Even though we are not checking the documents like LCs word to word, just a cursory glance. Right? Then encourage the customer to use the collection order form issued by the bank when submitting collection. This is what I have discussed. I didn't know that was the second one. Otherwise, I would have gone with this one. Make it simple for the exporter to give us his instructions clearly and completely. For banks to transfer the transactions to their covering schedule, which they send to the collecting bank. Can you give me 1 second? There was an accident working Sadhya Kalukuda. බාහිර ට්‍රික් එකක් කිව්වා. අපිට නවත්ත ගන්න එක. නවත්තලා කියන්නේ. right? මිස් කම්ප්ලේන්ට් කරනවා කියන්නේ. Terms and conditions are printed on the back of the collection order. By signing the form, the exporter agrees to be bound by the provisions of URC 522, the Uniform Rules for Collection, that the bank is not liable for errors made by the collecting bank. The bank is not liable for errors made by the collecting bank. Very important. Who says this? Remitting bank. Right? What to do on the receipt of a collection order? Again, this is for the trade guys. Right? What to do on receipt of a collection order? There are several simple tasks to be done. Even though we say we have nothing, no agreements, no responsibilities to act, no responsibilities to act. But there are certain simple tasks to be done. That's a prudent bank. Check the completeness of the collection order details. Check the completeness of the collection order details. Name and addresses, shipment details, instructions, payment terms, right? Then disposal of proceeds. How we have to dispose the proceeds, right? How to get the money, right? Because like the earlier question, when we are sending the collection order to Sampath Bank, we will ask them to credit our Nostra account. Credit our Nostra account. Nostra account may be with Bank of New York. With Bank of New York, right? So then we'll have to mention that, right? So this is where I'm a little bit worried. And when you say Bank of New York, my Nostra account, send the money to that. The money goes to Standard Chartered New York. Because if Standard Chartered is sending the money, because their Nostra account is Standard Chartered New York, two different things. Okay. Then verify the signatures on the collection order. Why? We have to verify the signatures of the collection order because they are they give specific instructions by the drawer exporter. So we'll have to verify the signatures. We don't know whether the authorized signatory has signed or a clerk or some officer who doesn't have signing authority. But he is very much known to the bank, but doesn't have any signing authority. So we have to verify the signatures. That is why whenever there are auditors coming to Trade Finance Department, they first check these collection order forms to see whether signatures have been verified. Right? Verify that all documents listed on the collection order are attached. Assign internal control number. Assign internal control number. Register receipt of the bills. Register receipt of the bill. Right? Then timestamp the collection order and return the duplication to the customer. I don't have to tell you more. It's very simple. Check the consistency of the documents. I have mentioned. I have explained to you. If the collection order needs to be amended, the amendments must be signed by the customer's authorized signatory or confirmed in writing. No over the phone. Don't take, right? If the guy who is handling the company's collection desk, even if you are so close to him, he will say, Majang, can you change it like this, Majang? I will send a confirmation later, right? We want to send the collection order today itself. Please do that, Majang. The answer should be, sorry, Majang. Answer should be, sorry, Majang. Send the confirmation in writing. Well, at least they can send something by email, right? There should be some documentary evidence. These are, you might think, yo, this is not a big thing. We have a relationship. Okay, you rely on those relationships. One fine day, what is happening in the private sector companies, the guy who is working, so-called superstar of a company, if we get a better offer from another competitor, by another competitor, double the salary, he will jump. So if you have planned everything, he can make a mess out of the present company and join the new company, right? Ultimately, the bank will be responsible, and bank, if there's a query or something, now the bank can't say, no, this is what had happened. My Machang from that company, he said to do it, Machang. So I did it. No way. Right? No Machangs. Right? Check-in documents. No legal obligation for banks to check documents, but should warn the exporting customer of delays that might be caused by incomplete documentation. Make sure that the bill of exchange is correctly drawn, sign and endorse. Right? Documents should be consistent with each other. For example, the invoice amount and the draft amount should be identical. If the invoice amount is US dollars 10,000 and the draft amount is US dollars 10,010, then it is wrong. Right? All documents mention the same goods. This also I have discussed. Documents requiring the export customer's signature, such as bill of exchange, must be signed. Documents requiring export customer's signature, such as bill of exchange, must be signed. Even at the beneficiary's certificate or something, it has to be signed. That vital documents are not missing. For example, bill of lading, all 3 copies are submitted. Check invoices against which Incoterm applies. Check invoices against which Incoterm applies. Right? Ensure instructions on collection order are logical. For example, DP is a side draft. You mention DP and you are submitting 180 days draft. It's contradicting, right? Ensure customer sign the collection order form properly and signatures verified. Okay. Covering schedule. Okay. Now from 8 o'clock I'm talking. I need to take 10 minutes break, right? You also can have a cup of tea or a juice or something. You all are joining from home, right? Just a comfort break for 10 minutes. 3:10, I'm going to restart, right? Okay, please join at 3:10. Okay. The others are also must be there. And yeah, before I start, I just want to remind you all. That don't just For the sake of listening, don't listen, right? Please engage in these discussions, right? I know only Sampath Bank is actively involving, right? Only Sampath Bank. That's also one student, right? Hats off to him. Others, what's happened? There are so many banks. First day itself, I have checked with you what are the banks, right? Almost every bank. You have to get involved in these discussions, right? This is not a normal DABF class of IBSL. This is higher diploma, and you have to discuss everything, right? Once you complete this DIT, if you want, you can study for CDCS and get through the CDCS without any issues. This is more than enough what I am teaching for you to sit for the CDCS, right? So please get involved. Try to sort out your gray areas, right? Repeatedly I'm telling that. Because only one or two. Are there any guys from HNB? Are there any person from HNB? HNB trade, please. Otherwise, I can get the information from Menaka, but why should I? Right? Are there any person from HNB trade? Because I need a support. That's why I'm asking. Personal support. ඔයගොල්ලෝ සර්ට ඒ උදව්වත් කරන්නේ නැද්ද? ප්‍රශ්න අහන්න නෙමෙයි. සර්ට මේ සපෝට් එකක් ගන්න. ඒකනේ උදව් කරන්න කැමති නෑනේ. මොනව කරන්නද? අපිව පාරට දැක්කත් කතා කරයිද දන්නේ නෑ නේද? Right, okay. Covering schedule. If the documents are in order and instructions complete, right, the remitting bank will choose as the collecting bank if not specified by the exporter. If not specified by the exporter, a branch or correspondent bank in the importer's country, in the same city or town if possible. Attention is drawn to sub-article 5D and 11A of the URC 522. This is a good area. Shall we see sub-article 5D and 11A, right? It is 5D. 5D is for the purpose of giving effect to the instructions of the principal, the remitting bank will utilize the bank nominated by the principal as the collecting bank. Very important, huh? The bank will utilize the bank nominated by the principal as the collecting bank. In the absence of such nomination, the remitting bank will utilize any bank of its own or another bank's choice in the country of payment or acceptance, or in the country where other terms and conditions have to be completed with. Right? Then 11A. Disclaimer for acts of an instructed party. Article 11A, it says, banks utilizing the services of another bank or other banks for the purpose of giving effect to the instructions of the principal do so for the account and at the risk of such principal. Right? Okay. If I ask you a question like this, chooses the collecting bank if not specified by the exporter. If it is specified by the exporter, yes, we have to go for that. Now, Standard Chartered Are there any people in the class today? I know there are 2-3 people.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Very good, very good. Right. Now, if your Standard Chartered Dubai office is sending a collection to Sampath Bank, are they sending directly to Sampath Bank or they will do it through Standard Chartered Colombo? Hmm?
They will do
Through
it through
SCB Colombo.
SCB
Colombo.
They will do it through SCB Colombo.
Colombo.
Because that is your group principle. Right? Your group guidelines have given like that. Right? Even HSBC does the same thing. Right? But when you're sending a collection like that, right? Okay, for example, if you are sending a collection to some other bank, if you say Emirates Bank Dubai, if you are sending a collection to Emirates Bank Dubai, then you will send it through your Standard Chartered Dubai to Emirates, right? But your customer wants you to send it directly to Emirates Bank. In a scenario like that, it is your obligation to keep your customer informed. Okay, we will be sending to Emirates Bank, but through Standard Chartered Dubai. That part you have to tell the customer. Otherwise, customer will think that you will send direct to Emirates. And in a scenario, if a customer says, no, I don't want the collections to go through your Dubai office. I want to send the collection direct to Emirates Bank. One of your very good customers. Then what are your situation? Then what is your situation? If the customer is good, if you think that you are going to lose the business, you will say, okay, sir, nothing to worry, we'll do it. And you will do it, right? But your group principle is to send it through your own branches as much as possible, right? The other thing, if not specified by the exporter, now I am discussing these things, right? Otherwise, I can finish it in half an hour. But we had to discuss these things. Now the customer has not given any specific instructions of a collecting bank. In a scenario like that, it is going to Dubai. It is going to Dubai. So you will send it to your correspondent in Dubai. Standard Chartered whether Standard Chartered will always send it through Standard Chartered Dubai. Okay. If you say NDB, you will send it to your correspondent bank in Dubai. But the customer, the drawees bank is something different. Now, after sending the collection, right, you won't get any information about the fate of the collection, whether they have delivered the thing, whether the customer has paid the money, or whether we don't know. Okay, if you say we have sent it to Mashreq Bank, right? If you have sent it to Mashreq Bank, now the Mashreq Bank is silent on the thing, right? Because the customer's bank is not the Mashreq Bank. He is banking with Barclays Bank, Dubai. He is banking with Barclays Bank, Dubai. So the documents, whether the customer has taken the documents from Mashreq, right? Whether the payment has been done through Mashreq or whether the payment has done through Lloyds Bank, like what we discussed earlier, right? All sort of things we don't know. And whatever the fate messages that we are sending to Mashrik Bank, unanswered. They are silent. So your customer says he is going to file a case against you. He is going to file a case against you, saying that you have decided the bank and you have said, now we don't know what had happened. There's no feedback. They are not answering. What has happened to my documents? What has happened to my money? You are exporter, so he's waiting for the money. What has happened to my money? And all those things. So is NDB Bank is responsible? Is NDB Bank is responsible? Yes or no? Ulamai Sabdanani. NDB Bank is not responsible. Remitting Bank is not responsible. Right? Because they have to get the collection bank confirmed by the drawer or the exporter. If they have not given, so these people have sent it to their correspondent bank in the importer's country. They have done it in good faith, so they are not responsible. Right? URC 522 prepares the covering schedule on the basis of the collection order, together with instructions on how to send payment to the remitting bank, usually by telex unless the amount is small. Always in the covering schedule, which remitting bank is sending to the collecting bank along with the documents, we have to give the payment instructions to the remitting bank. Right? The collection instructions should clearly indicate that the collection has been undertaken subject to ICC rules URC 522. It has to be very clearly mentioned. Mail the schedule and bill by registered airmail or courier to the collecting bank. Right? Diarizes a date for chasing the bill. Payment advice of acceptance has not been received. Very important, the last item. We have to diarize a date for chasing the bill if payment or advice of acceptance has not been received. Diarizing is a very, very important thing. Nowadays, when we were initially working in trade finance, we used to maintain our own diaries. The collection clerk always maintain his own diaries. But now, no diaries. Everything is uploaded to the system. So in a scenario like that, every 10 days, this is my advice, every 10 days, you have to get a printout of documents sent during last, 10 days, more than 10 days. Documents sent more than 10 days and which we have not received payment, outstanding items. We have to get an outstanding items report and then follow it up. Write to the banks individually and inform the customers individually. Right? That follow-up action has to be done by the collection department. I don't know how many people are doing this, but it's a must. Every 10 days, you have to do it. Review of all export collection bills and irregular past due export bills. This is what I have mentioned. Scrutiny of acknowledgement from the collecting presenting banks to ensure that they contain no disclaimer which may place the export customer at risk. Right? Scrutiny of acknowledgement from the collecting presenting banks. Now, we always ask the collecting bank to send the acknowledgement. So when and in the collection order form, we request them to what do you call this? Release goods and storage and insurance, as well as protest, right? All three areas, when we are sending the acknowledgement, we'll have to say, the collecting bank has to say, yes, we have acknowledged your bills, but however, please note that we will not undertake to store and insure of the goods and protest the bills. Straightforward, from the day one, you have to inform the remitting bank, right? So when the remitting bank receives the acknowledgement, please read whether there are any disclaimers. I know, I know many bankers, more than 80% of the bankers, what they do, this collection staff, what they do, when they receive the acknowledgement, they just file it. They never read the acknowledgement. But it is very important to read the acknowledgement to see that there are any disclaimers. And if there are any disclaimers, you have to inform the export customers immediately. Otherwise, they will be at a risk. Right? මේ වගේ mistake කරලා අහුවෙන්න එපා. ඔයගලන්ට ගැළවිල්ලක් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. නඩුවක් ගියොත් ගැළවිල්ලක් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒකෙන්ද ඔය mistakes කරන්න එපා. ගොඩක් කට්ටිය කියවන්නේ නැහැ. නිකන් ෆයිල් කරනවා. right? ඔය කරන්නේ ඔය ෆයිල් වෙන්නේ වෙන ඔපුදුප කතා කරන වෙලාවක. ඊයර මොකද උනේ දෙවෙනි ඉනිමේ අනේ අර අමේෂව ඇඩ්මිට් කළා මැරෙයිද නැති වේද හරියයිද යට මේ දෙන්න බඳීද නැද්ද ඕනේ කතා කරන්නේ බැංකුවේ ඔය කතා කරගෙන අර ආවා බිල් නම්බර් 1257 නාම කිරීම ගත්ත ෆයිල් එක ඇටච් කරලා දැම්මා කියවන්නේ acknowledgement එක right those are simple mistakes you are doing but ultimately not simple mistakes. At regular intervals, export collection bill records should be reviewed to see what further action needs to be taken, and the file should be directed forward appropriately. Regular intervals, we have to see the outstandings and then see what action you are going to take. Write those actions. Right? Outstanding list what action you have taken. Right? And then follow it up. The next week also when you are taking, see whether you got the money. If not, you have to send another reminder, right? So whatever the actions you have to see. At regular intervals, end of every month, all unaccepted, unpaid bills, which may be considered irregular or past due, may be reviewed under executive direction to see what further action, if any, needs to be taken to ensure that the charges are recovered in a timely fashion. Whether agreement of the export customer can be obtained to remove the items from the bank's record. Right? These collection items, you have to do a regular supervision on a monthly basis. You have to see every month end you have to get the unaccepted unpaid bills, right? Then you have to ask the customer whether what action we can take, right? I'll give you a nice example. From Standard Chartered, I took over operations of HSBC trade. There I found my outstanding collection bills, right? Unpaid bills and unaccepted and unpaid collection bills print out rounds to about 15 to 20 pages. In one page, there were about 42 lines. That means 42 into 20, but more than 800. It is very much. But 1,000 Ghana, 1,800 Ghana, 1,800 Ghana, nobody was doing anything. Every month, this is coming and filing. They are just filing to see one or two customers were the culprits. And some were going back to more than 1 year unpaid, right? But we are still holding the thing. As per the Article 26 of URC 522, after 60 days, the banks can write and return the documents or the bills, whatever. Let them handle it. But the collecting bank, as a collecting bank, we can return the thing to the remitting bank and wash our hands. We can close the files. That's the rule, right? Some customers, some so-called super customers, I'm saying super customers, because all these malpractices are with the so-called super guys, because they think the banks have to do whatever we are telling. Whatever we are telling, the bank has to do. If you say, okay, you hold on to it for 10 years, yes, you have to do it, because we are the superheroes. We are the people who are giving you business. That attitude, right? I told you, even when I was with Standard Chartered Colombo and with all the other banks, HSBC, no local banks except for Cardiff Bank, right? Cardiff Bank also I introduced the same practice, but I have done in those two leading international banks, right? When I took over HSBC Middle East in Dubai, I told you there were more than 1,800 items, out of which about 1,600 items belongs to 3 customers. 1,600 items belongs to 3 customers. So what I did was, I called the customers, I sent them a letter saying that this is the regulation as per Article 26. This is the regulation. We cannot keep it in open-ended, these bills outstanding, right? Either you tell us whether you have received the money. I mean, like Sumudu mentioned to me, in my books, I am keeping these things open. In my books, I am keeping the bill open. Whereas Sumudu has settled the bill through some other bank. So the customer is happy, right? Exporter is happy. But I am still holding the bill outstanding in my books. That was what had happened. And they said, yes, one is, I can't remember the names of the customers, leading customers. Then I said, okay, I'll give you 2 weeks for you to decide. Send me a list of items where if you have received the money by any other options, right? But not like in Sri Lanka. In Sri Lanka, we have a lot of exchange control regulations. Those countries, nothing. Those countries, nothing. sending money is not a big thing. There's no restrictions. We have 50,000 advance payment. There you can send even 1 million advance payment, right? A restrictions there. So I said, okay, send me the list of your outstandings. I send them the outstanding. I took a printout and I send them the outstanding. Give me an answer within 2 weeks, whether you have received the money or not, and if you are intended to keep these bills outstanding or no. If you want to keep the bills outstanding for a considerable period, well, I'll do it. You are my super customer, no? My superhero, no? You are the so-called person who was sending me the business, right? Okay, no problem. I'll do. I will hold it, but I can still remember the wordings I have said. But for each bill, each month, I'm going to charge 100 dirhams. Each bill, each month, I'm going to charge 100 dirhams. I send by registered post, I send it to the customers through their RMs also. RMs started putting a barabara with me. I said, no, this is a regulation. And most of them doesn't know about URC and all those things, right? 1,800 bills every month. The first month, I charge some 1 or 2 small customers, they replied to me. Others, they thought they are the big shots, no? They are the big shots. I charge them 18,000 dirhams. I charge them 18,000 dirhams. Then they call me. I said, I have sent you a mail. You are silent. Give me an answer. Within 2 weeks, I got mails after mails, not challenging me, saying that, sir, please take these bills off. We have received the money through some other means. We have received the money through some other means. So please take these bills off. You won't believe, within 2 months, I reduced to less than 140,800 bills. And this is what you have to do. You write to the customer, quote the Article 26, and tell them either you give me the instructions, or I'm going to send the accepted draft or whatever the thing to the remitting bank and close my books. Close my books. Right? Lesson 10. Kisi katawan nathi na charge karagama. But you have to charge. At least per month 1,000 rupees of charge karana. Unna gante. Loko මිනිස්සු ඔක්කොම නිකම්ම දන ගහනවා. එතකොට charge කරගම. මොකද ඒගොල්ලන්ට කියන්න බෑ මේක ඕනකම් තියාගන්නයි කියලා. මොකද මෙතන තියෙනවා ICC regulation එක. right? මේ අපි කවුරුත් කතා කරන්නේ නැහැ. ඔනෝවා තමයි අපි දැනගන්න ඕනේ. කරන්නේ නැත්නම් බෑන්ක්ස් වල introduce කරන්න ඕනවා. මගේ පහුගිය කාලේ classes වලින් පස්සේ lot of banks introduces these things. Right? Because otherwise you can't go on like this. To ensure that the charges are recovered in a timely manner with the agreement adopted from remove the items from the bank's records. Right? That's what we have discussed. The collecting and presenting bank. Collecting and presenting bank. The decision to handle the collection is made subject to the following conditions. If the importer or drawee, a customer of the collecting bank, very important. If the importer or drawee is not a customer of the collecting bank, I would say, please investigate and please ask them, because you don't want to get into trouble as they don't also want to get into trouble. So better ask them, you're not a customer of mine, which is your bank. Then you can write to the remitting bank and tell them that we are going to submit these documents to this other bank. Right? Or else you can ask them to, you can ask the importer to open account with you. This is a very good opportunity, cross-selling. Very good opportunity for you to get a new customer. Right? Because when you are loading a bill, customer මේ නම්බර එකක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ කස්ටමර් නම්බර් එකක් තියෙන කස්ටමර් එකක් ඉන්න බෑ මේ සෆික්ස් එකයි ප්‍රිෆික්ස් එකයි මාරු වෙන්න පුළුවන් the main thing මැද කැලේ එක තියෙන්න ඕන customer ID ද කියන්නේ customer ID ද මොකක්ද කියන්නේ does the transaction falls within the ordinary course of business for such a customer? That is KYC. If you have with your customer, then you know whether this is fall within the ordinary course of business for such a customer. For example, EH Kure. Who are they? What are they into? EH Kure. EH Kure and Company.
Furniture.
Very good. EH Kure is furniture people. Right? Now, EH Kure furniture people, if they are importing bee onions and potatoes, it is not the ordinary course of business for them. So you have to be careful, right? You have to ask them any restrictions on the merchandise covered with arms and ammunitions, right? If an import license is required, do the documents have one? Does the transaction a potential risk for the collecting bank? Hari වැදගත්. Does the transaction a potential risk for the collecting bank? Right? If the importer is Velesuda, he is importing ice or something, right? එතන ice කියලා මොකා හිතන්නේ? He is importing ice. Ice කියන්නේ අපි අර ice packet, ice මේ soda වලටත් දාන ice කියනනේ. drink එකක් ගන්නකොට soda වලට ice දාලා ඒක තමයි ගේන්නේ කියන්නේ. ඒ ice මේ ice වෙනස්. If you know the name, then you know who is what sort of if it is elephant house, they do ice or packets යනවා නේද? ඒගොල්ලන් වෙනම එකක්. නේ? සිලෝන් ඔක්සිජන් වගේ ඒවා ice කරනවා. වෙනමිනේ කරනකොට එතන ice කියලාම වෙනින් එකක් mean වෙන්නේ. Then it's bad for the collecting bank also. Bad reputation. Will there be any difficulty in collecting bank charges and will the transaction be profitable? You have to see those things. According to the ICC 522 Article 12A, banks must verify that the documents received appear to be as listed in the collection instructions and have no further obligation in this respect. Right? Banks must also exercise reasonable care. ICC 522 Article 9. That is the shortest article ever. Banks must exercise reasonable care. Banks are regarded as experts in handling trade documents, and if the importer loses money because of some fault in the documents, he may be able to sue the bank for negligence. For example, not taking reasonable care to protect his instruction. Bank versus your case, commercial bank versus one of you, right? Read those cases. When you are in this field, you have to find all these cases and study and see what are the mistakes the banks have done and whether the banks have taken the reasonable care. Right? Exercise reasonable care is a must. Even if you open a normal current account, exercise reasonable care. Without negligence, in good faith. Without negligence, in good faith. Right? Collecting banks' role and obligations. If does not guarantee the bills except in navalization, a collecting bank presents the bill to importer for payment or acceptance. Right? Right. Importer for payment. Collecting bank advises the fate of the bill to the remitting bank. Every 2 weeks, you have to inform the remitting bank. You have to send a cable. Right? You have to send a cable and to say this is the fate. Fate cable I can do. Another advice to all the bankers. When you are sending the bills, swift messages, if you think that this is going to be a nuisance, this guy pay my swift message charges also. I'm just sending, right? I don't know whether this guy will pay my charges, whether I can get my charges. Best thing, every now and then, collect all the Fed telexes and charge them once. Total එකට pass කරන්න පුළුවන්. හරිද? හැබැයි total එකට pass කරනකොට ලොකු customer කෙනෙක් වුණා අපි හිතමු මේ මහරජා හරි කොහේ හරි කේල්ස් හරි ලොකු customer කෙනෙක් වුණත් charge කරන්න ගියොත් එහෙම 25,000 30,000 charge එකක් ගියොත් you are going to have it. But if you are charging them 750 every 2 weeks විතර වගේ කිසි ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. ඒගොල්ලෝ notice වෙන්නේ නැහැ. Right? That is up to you how you are going to do it. If the bill is unpaid or unaccepted, the collecting bank arranges storage and insurance for the goods as per remitting bank's instructions on the schedule. Article 10B and Article 25 protest on behalf of the remitting bank if the remitting bank schedule states protest. I didn't discuss about the protest. Let's discuss about the protest. Protesting means we discuss the protesting.
No, sir, you didn't discuss.
No, sir.
Not discuss.
කරන්න යනකොට එක මතකයි වගේ කළේ හැබැයි කියන්නේ මම ක්ලාස් 3 4ක් කරලා ඉන්නවා. Okay, it won't take much time, 2 minutes 3 minutes මම කියන්න. As per the Article 24, the protest is to file a case within 24 hours. Within 24 hours you can't file a case, so that's why every bank you get your bank lawyer. He is a notary public, so we give the bill to the notary public, we present the bill to the notary public. He will do a noting, a thing called the action called noting, right? In notarize karna api karigana noting like that. Noting karata passe, then within a reasonable time period, you can take the reasonable time period to file a case. Once you file the case, it will be very, very expensive. Very, very expensive. These cases, right? All these, what do you call this? very high, right? If you get Romesh to Silva amount, they'll charge you something amount, right? So because of that, the banks doesn't want to get involved in this unnecessary legal issues. So therefore, they will not uh, that is not covered by the instructions in their schedule. Once payment is received from the importer, the collecting bank remits the proceeds promptly to the remitting bank, less its charges. Right? Article 26C1. Issuing shipping guarantees on collection transaction is risky and should be limited only for very good customers. Now, issuing shipping guarantees on collection transactions is risky and should be limited only for very good customers. Normally, on collection bills, the bank should not customers unless for very good customers. For example, if a fourth cross street guy who is not a right, if he has imported certain perishable items on collection, he can't get the thing cleared, so he's asking us to issue a shipping. Please don't get into that trap, right? But if we say Singer, one of the very good customers, Singer, prime customers, if they request a shipping guarantee on collection, the bank can consider, because we know who are they. We know who are they, right? So we will consider. It's case by case, right? There's no, but in general, we should not allow shipping guarantees on collection, because the reason is high risk, because we don't know whether we will receive the collection document or not. It can, instead of getting into Sampath Bank, it can go to Standard Chartered. So we have issued, Sampath Bank has issued the shipping guarantee and waiting for to get it cancelled. Whereas documents have been received by Standard Chartered and they have settled the bills also. Now, where are you going to cancel your bills? Shipping guarantee. To cancel the shipping guarantee, you need the original, one copy of original bill. Nothing. Just imagine if you get caught to a trap like that. Okay. Now we were talking about stamp the back of the BL with the bank stamp which says deliver to the order of the bank. If you say NDB Bank, NDB Bank, to protect the banks against frauds. But frauds can happen. This can be lifted by either a clerk or a peon of the bank and given to the customer. Now, if we give it to the customer, now the BL has been endorsed to the deliver to the order of the bank. Can they take the goods from the customs? Because the BL has been endorsed to the bank. That was a question I asked. Can they take the delivery of goods? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear.
Yeah. Can you answer? can they, because now already we have endorsed it on the reverse, delivered to the order of the bank. But if the customer wants to get the goods, then it has to be delivered to the order of ABC company, that particular customer's name. So if you lift the document and if you give it to the customer, can the customer go to customs and get the thing clear? Because it is not endorsed. What do you think?
Yes, can.
Can. How? How? It is endorsed to the bank now.
He can't clear the goods, sir.
He can't clear the goods. One said yes, can. Tell me how? He can't clear. Tell me.
Well, he would have the document with him, right? Through that we can do.
Because when you lift the entire set, no? The only thing is BL is endorsed to the bank. It has to be re-endorsed to the customer.
Right.
Signed by the bank's authorized signatories. Can they clear? No. Yes. In principle, no. But in practical, if you want to clear, yes, you can clear. මම කියන්නම් ඒකට හේතුව. යට පිටිපස්ස ගාව මොකද ගහන්න ඕනේ? බැංක් එකේ සීල් එකනේ. බැංක් එකේ සීල් එක ගහන්න ඕනේ. දැන් අර බැංක් එකේ සීල් එක ගහලා තියෙනවනේ endorsing it to the bank. ඒ වගේම සීල් එකක් කපන්න කීයද යන්නේ? රුපියල් 100යි. නැත්නම් රුපියල් 200යි. කස්ටමර්ස්ලා කරනවා. right? රුපියල් 200ට බැංක් එකේ endorse කරන ආපෝසරයක් කස්ටමර්ගේ නමට. simple as that. රුපියල් 200න් වැඩ ඉවරයි. හැබැයි that is a හොර වැඩ. That is a fraud. In principle, no. Right? If a shipping guarantee has been issued for release of the goods, send the bill of lading to the shipping company to redeem the shipping guarantee. If we have already issued a shipping guarantee on the bill, then we'll have to send one original BA to the shipping company to redeem the shipping guarantee. Right? Note any special instructions on the schedule. For example, storage and goods, protest, etc. Highlight the schedule and note on the bill folder. Right? Okay. Delivery and settlement of import collection. Delivery and settlement of import collection. Collection bank's role is to deliver the documents as per the remitting bank's instructions and to remit the importer's payment to the remitting bank. Right? The collecting bank has no financial obligations to pay the remitting bank if the importer refuses to pay. The collecting bank has no financial obligations to pay the remitting bank if the importer refuses to pay, unless it has evaluated the bill or already released the goods to the importer under their shipping guarantee. Right? If they have released the goods to the importer under shipping guarantee, then they are obliged to pay. This particular one is happening in lot of banks, and not only with lousy banks, even with some top rank banks. I have experience. Under collection, they have released a shipping guarantee. They have issued a shipping guarantee. On shipping guarantee, they have cleared the goods, and we have never received the payment. They say, no, customer has not paid. Customer has not paid. Customer has not paid. Always they say customer has not paid. I will not mention the name because those banks not exactly the bank, they are head officers or they are branches, right? මේක ලංකාවේ නෙමෙයි මේ පිටරට ඒවේ. ඒකෙන් තමයි නම කියන්නේ international banks වල මේක වෙනවා. ඉතින් කොහොමද when you issue a shipping guarantee, you have taken an indemnity that you will settle the bills. Then you have to settle, right? Whether the customer pays or not, the bank is responsible, right? Before releasing shipping documents, certain precautions should be taken. DP ensure that we have received the full settlement plus our charges from the input. No part settlement. We have to receive full settlement. As per the Article 19, no part settlement unless otherwise it has been approved by the remitting bank. DA ensure that we hold the usance bill accepted for payment on a stated date and that the acceptance of the bill of exchange appears to be complete and correct. Right? ICC 522 Article 22. Article 22. Article 22, it says when you are accepting the bill of exchange, you have to accept to pay on such and such a date. I'm going to, when I'm discussing the articles, we will discuss. Actually, what I was thinking to tell you, now I think we have about more than 40 people joining this class on Zoom. I know more than 55 or 60 have been registered, right? Menaka and myself, we got the approval from the institute also. I would like to have this class in a physical form. That is always, that is my, then we can do a lot of arguments and we can, it's a lively class, physical. The last week I got the approval from the institute from next week to have it physical. Cum online, both Zoom plus this thing. So if somebody is staying in Betiklo or Anuradhapura or Jaffna, they can, if they can't come to the classes, they can join by Zoom. And those who are living in Colombo and Battramula Court area, Panathura, close proximity, they can come to the class and have a live class. Would you like that?
Yeah, actually. Yes.
Yes, sir.
I know.
Yes, sir.
I know majority will like it, but you see what had happened last 2 days. Finish. Campuses closed, classes closed, everything closed. I was waiting to have that thing starting from next week. Now it will be postponed indefinitely, right? Because of this COVID-19 situation. Let's see. Again, in about another, if you are lucky, another at least in 1.5 months time, we will be lucky to have the classes again, right? We pray for it, right? We pray for it, and then it will be very much interactive. Especially when you are doing the sums, I need you to be in the class, right? Let's see. Enter in a diary. Enter in a diarizing, right? The estimated date of the response from the buyer. මේ ඔක්කොම අපිට දැන් system එකේ තියෙනවා. So I will not go into details, but you can read this, right? All these things you can extract various information from the system, and you can call for any type of diary records, right? When deciding on the diary date, bear in mind the expected arrival of the ship number of days grace allowed by the port before now demurrage is charged. Very important. We are just directing, right? Now the goods have been shipped. The goods are coming from US to reach Colombo. It will take about 21 days, and another 5 days before the demurrage is charged, right? 21, 26 days, at least 25 days. Document එක ටක් ගාලා එනවා. මෙහින් ship කළා දවස් දෙකකින් document එක අපේ bank එකේ. right? අපි කෙලින්ම 10 days වලට diarize කරලා. Diarize කරලා customer එකෙන් අහනවා why you are not paying? Why you are not paying? You should get the goods now. To get the goods it will take 25 days. right? එහෙම කරන්න එපා. ඊට පස්සේ remitting bank එකට කියනවා still this guy has not paid the bill කියලා. තාම බඩු වෙන්නේ නැහැ. නේද? Very important when you are diarising the thing, right? නිකන් අර මේ කරනවට කරන්නයි එපා. උදේට කල්පනා කරලා කරන්න. Collective banks often diarize date to take appropriate action based on some of the consideration on the schedule. Non-payment and non-acceptance. That is Article 26, right? Says the importer at the same time advise the remitting bank that the documents are held by the collecting bank at the risk and disposal of the remitting bank, right? Non-payment and non-acceptance. Noting and protesting. If the collecting bank is unwilling or unable to do so, they should advise the remitting bank accordingly. Original acknowledgement may have indicated this in any case. Original acknowledgement එකම කියලා හරියනම් වැඩි ඉවරයි. අතෝද ගත්ත එතනින් එහාට trust and right? Protection of goods same as when you are sending the acknowledgement කොහොම ලියලා අරින්න. මම කරන්නේ නැහැ කියලා. අනිත් එක්කන වෙන කයියක් ගහගෙන ඔක ෆයිල් කළොත් එහෙම ඊට පස්සේ ආවොත් එහෙම why you are not releasing the goods and removing the goods and put it in the warehouse and storage and insurance. Just send a reply. Please refer to our acknowledgement dated such and such. Finish. Nothing else. Right? ඔයගේ වෙනවා හරියට. අපි වගේමයි අනිත් බැංක්ස් අනිත් පිටරටවල. අපි කියනවා මොනවද අපි වගේ නෙමෙයිනේ එංගලන්තේ ජිප්සි සෝං එකක් තියෙන්නේ අපි එහෙම වුණාට එංගලන්තේ එහෙම වුණාට අපි එහෙම වෙන්නේ නැහැ කියන්නේ ඒ වගේ තමයි අපි එහෙම වුණාට එංගලන්තේ අන්තිමයි London banks are worst right මම කියවා shipping guarantees issue කරලා ඔක්කොම කරලා ඊට customer සල්ලි ගෙවෙන්නේ නැහැ කියලා කියන්නේ London banks right London US Canada I have experience because I have very practical experience in those three countries right all the big banks all the so-called big banks they recruit people in the summer young crowd right summer jobs they know 3 months 4 months summer jobs come without any knowledge straight away they are working in trade finance URC UCP මුකුත් දන්නේ ලස්සනට වැඩ කරනවා බැංකුවත් ඉවරයි අපිත් ඉවරයි right මාස 4කට පස්සේ මිනිහත් නැහැ ආපහු යුනිවර්සිටි එකට ගිහිල්ලා right ඔය අපේ ලංකාවේ නෑ ඇත්තටම අපි හොදින් ඉන්නේ එකකින් periodic departmental and management reviews. Periodic department and management reviews. The periodic departmental reviews may be useful in placing correspondence, telexes in chronological order, right? This is very important. Are there any officers in trade finance departments? I don't know whether I'll get the answer, especially for officers, right? These department management reviews are very, very important. Even you are a clerk handling collection, start these things. Then it will be an eye opener to your superiors. Even they will not know about these things, right? Whenever you are less, there are certain days for you less work. Less work. Go through the files and see whether there's any correspondent telexes in chronological order. Then proper recording of history of the transaction, either manual or on a computer. Especially when there are outstanding items for more than 2 months, 3 months, cases correspondence and all, custom cases, court cases. File inner cover first inner cover you have to maintain a history record that down. Very gist of list, right? A gist of what has happened. Then examining of correspondence telexes to ensure that all necessary actions have been taken. Recovering charges that have been incurred. Periodical management reviews will assist generally in tidying up the bill portfolio. I told you what I have done. Right? If you do it on a periodical management reviews, we can tidying up the bill portfolio. We can reduce it. Advantages and disadvantages of using document collections. Can you hear me? Are you there?
Yes, can hear, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thanks very much on you called me. Last year, there was one class which I have gone on and on and on and lecturing for more than 1 hour 15 minutes. Nobody came back to me. 1 hour 15 minutes පස්සේ ආන උත්තර නැහැ මම බැන බලද්දි අනේ එකෙක්ටවත් මාව ඇහිලා නැහැනේ ඩිස්කනෙක්ට් කරන්නේ right ඉතින් මම මොනවටද බයින්නේ ඔයගේ මම සෙන්සරේ අහන්නේ ඒකයි ටග්ගල උත්තර දෙන්න එතකොට මම දන්නවා. Advantages of using document collection: increase the likelihood of payment for the seller, as the buyer may not be able to obtain the goods without payment or acceptance of the collection. Right? Then provide some assurance to the buyer that the shipment will arrive. Provide an opportunity to sell goods before payment has to be made on DA terms. Disadvantages: the security of payment to the seller is less than payment in advance. BPO or a DC. What is BPO? BPO. Then make down. BPO is bank's payment obligations. There was a thing for bank's payment obligations under open account. This was introduced in 2015 by ICC, and they wanted Sri Lanka to be a party in 2017. But fortunately, before 2017, from 2015 to 2017, within 2 years, this was redundant. This was introduced, and within 2 years, nobody wanted to use that thing, bank's payment obligations, right? Natural death එකක් ආවා. ඒකින්ද අපි අන්තම් බේරනවා. නැත්නම් උගලන්ට තවත් payment method එකක් පාඩම් කරන්න වෙනවා. Right? the seller does not have the benefit of a bank guarantee of payment by a DC and relies only upon the credit standing of the drawee or the buyer. Right? There's no guarantee. We are acting as an agent. Should the collection be unpaid, the cost of protecting the goods can be high. Right? Okay. Account and entries for inward collection. Right? මේව නම් මම මේ ඔයගලන්ගේ දැන ගැනීමට දුන්නේ මම හිතන්නේ කිසිම කෙනෙක් දැන් ඩිපාර්ට්මන්ට් එකේ වැඩ කරන මේ ඩබල් එන්ට්‍රි එක දන්නවයි කියලා. I'm 100% sure. Nobody knows about the double entries. මොකද ලා තියෙන්නේ we just load it to the system. System will put the entries in the computer automatically. Automatically යන්නේ. අපි දන්නේ මොනවද debit rate කියලා. මේක මම දන්නේ අපි මේ ඔක්කොම entries pass කළා GL එකට. general ledger එකට manual entries pass කළා. එක එක voucher එක ලීලිය pass කළා. That was in early 1980s. ඔක්කොම මේව manually pass කළේ. Right? මේකෙන්ද තමයි මේ debit rate දන්නේ. On receipt of the bills for collection, we debit bills for collection inward and credit bills for collection inward contra entry. මෙහා මේකටම contra entry එකක් තියෙනවා liability. On settlement of the BC bills for collection, debit bills for collection inward contra entry. Earlier we have created on receipt of the bill, we have created the contra. Now we are debiting the contra when we are settling. And credit bills for collection inward, debit customer, credit commission received, telegrams, stamp, and credit remitting bank master account. Right? That you can go through it leisurely. Some issues and problems in document recollection operations. Right. Let's see whether we can finish it off today. I'll give a try. Some issues and problems that banks handling collections often have to deal with: absence of instructions. When collecting bank receives instructions or documents without covering instructions, right? It should advise the sender immediately. Okay, we have to go back to the remitting bank and inform them that we have received the instructions incomplete. Then refer Article 4 of URC 522. Right? Inadequate instructions. Lack of information regarding what action should be taken in the event of a non-payment or non-acceptance. When we receive the instructions, it's inadequate. Inappropriate instructions. Right? So if I ask you a question, examining about, list me some issues and problems in document collection operations, then you have to come with these things, right? Inappropriate instructions. For example, 30 days documents against payment. 30 days documents against payment. Release documents against acceptance. මොනවද මේ කතා කරන්නේ? යන්නේ කොහෙද මල්ලේ පොල් වගේනේ? ඒ වගේ නේද? 30 days documents against payment කියලා තියෙනවා. ඊට පස්සේ කියනවා release documents against acceptance. If you get these type of instructions, what is the action you are going to take? How we are going to release the documents? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear.
Yeah. So how we are going to release? If you received some instruction with ambiguity, ambiguous instructions, how we are going to act? How we are going to release the documents? The best thing is to go back to the remitting bank and ask for this ambiguity. Or if the customer is pressing you that I need the documents, give them the documents on DP. Always on DP. Because we have to safeguard the exporter. I am acting as the agent of the exporter, right? Release documents against draw-with acceptance, which are guarantee. Make it up again or evaluation. But if it is evaluation, I'm going to discuss the evaluation next. You have to get the prior approval. Otherwise, you can't put this type of instructions. There will be an inevitable delay until the collecting bank obtains necessary clarification from the principal or the remitting bank. It's understood. Hence, principal and remitting banks are urged to examine Article 4 of URC 522 to ensure how their interest can be best safeguarded. Right? Acknowledgements. The collecting bank should acknowledge the receipt of such collection to the remitting bank, and this can be the best opportunity for them to indicate terms and conditions under which it undertakes the collection. Right? The acknowledgement should indicate that all items are handled in accordance with URC 522. Charges and commission will be levied as per tariff. Cost of cables, blah, blah, blah. Attention is drawn to the provisions of sub-article 21B of URC. Attention is drawn to the provisions of Article 10. Right? Article 10A can storing and insurance, that we will not do. Then noting and protesting, we will not undertake. Right? Then examination of acknowledgements. The remitting bank, once they receive the acknowledgement, they have to examine for any disclaimers. This I discussed with you earlier. Right? Before you file, you have to read the SWIFT. Goods consigned to the bank. The exporter may consign goods to the collecting bank as he may feel more secure with such arrangements. However, banks encounter difficulties when goods are consigned to their order. Why we in collection, why we say we don't want the goods to be consigned to the bank? Because if it is consigned to the order of the bank may become liable to carriers, agents, and port authorities for unpaid freight surcharges, demurrage, etc. Because you are the holder of the bill of lading. It's in your order. මේ ඔක්කොම demurrage charges ඔක්කොම බැංකුවේ නමට එන්නේ. ඒක තමයි අපි කියන්නේ කරන්න එපා කියලා. Right? ඒත් මිනිස්සු අහන්න නැත්නම් රිටර්න් කරලා දාන්න තියෙනවා. Disputes may arise with remitting bank principal as to whether a particular course of action taken in good faith was ultimately in their best interest. Right? Issuance of shipping guarantees and delivery orders, I have discussed. Good faith and reasonable care, Article 9, I have discussed. Right? Those are the issues. Right. Now, we'll go to the financing options in non-DC backed transactions. Financing options in non-DC backed transactions, that is, collection transactions. Finance for export collection. If you are going to finance the export collection, before deciding to purchase a bill, the bank must consider the credit standing of the exporter. Very, very important. Because the reason is, when you send the documents to the importer's bank, the collecting bank, you may get paid or not. There's no assurance that you will get paid. Nothing. So if you are going to discount the bill and purchase the bill and give value to the exporter, they will take the value, the money, and they get punished. Whereas the importer will not pay the bills. එතකොට බැංකයට loss එකක්. Right? ඒකින්ද තමයි අපි collection purchase කරන්නේ නැත්තේ, finance කරන්නේ නැත්තේ. ඒකත් කරනවා හොඳ කස්ටමර්ස්ලාට. එහෙම නැත්නම් not on the bill with some other security. The credit worthiness of buyer. Obtain status report on the buyer. Right? Term of the bill. DA or DP. DA නම් ටිකක් රිස්ක් එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒ තව දවස් 90කින් 120කින් එන්නේ. That's a risk. Whether the exporter through the bank retains control of the goods until the buyer pays. So if the exporter is going to retain the control of the goods until the buyer pays, very remote chances. Country to which the goods are being exported. If you are sending goods to the country like Syria or Myanmar and ask your bank to discount the bill, it will be a problem, right? It will be a problem. Amount of the bill. Amount of the bill is another important thing. If it is a massive amount, I will say no. Unless the customer is a very good customer. Payment record of the drawing. මේ ඔක්කොම customer to customer change වෙනවා. Customer to customer change වෙනවා. දැන් අපි එක්කෙනෙක් ඉන්න කවුද සොමදින්නවනේ හේලිස් වල. ඒ හේලිස්ලා ආවොත් එහෙම මේවා ඉල්ලුවොත් එහෙම මොකද කරන්නේ බැංක කෙනෙක් හැටියට? දෙනවා. මොකද හේතුව I don't want to lose the customer. I don't want to lose the customer. ඉතින් ඒකින්ද මේව ඔක්කොම bank to bank, customer to customer, it can get changed. But now I am giving you do's and don'ts. The political, economic and legal conditions in the importing countries here. Very important. Whether there are any exchange control or similar restrictions in importing country. Right? If you are okay, if you are getting sugar from Brazil to Sri Lanka now, right? We have import-export controls on sugar. The minimum 90 days, 6 months ago, then 6 months. DA payments and donate. The country restrictions appear, right? Bank's right of recourse to the drawer, right? Our customer to or the exporter. Right of recourse. Right of recourse means whether we have the recourse to the drawer. If something goes wrong, if we don't get the money, we should be able to debit the exporter's account and collect the money. Right? If the transaction covered by a policy taken out by the exporter with the government trade insurance agency, like a basic guarantee, that's very good. Right? We are going to discuss about the basic guarantees later. Then you can understand more. Always ensure that when a bill is purchased, it is drawn and approved, drawn on approved drawings within the individual limits for such limits. Advance against specific bills only. When make a mama right? Always ensure that when a bill is purchased, it is drawn on approved drawings. Okay, for example, if you say singer, Sumudulaki, Wagita Udak, you have at the drawings like that. Any country get drawings good at in. Home business करना है ना तो आगे certain drawings, yes, certain drawings we have done KYCs and then we will say okay, for single bills for customer A, B, D, E we will discount, but not for C, F, G, H, no. Right? It depends on the drawing and specific bills only, right? Users collection, supply credit. We call it bankers acceptance on collection bills of evaluation. The users bills is supply. We call it supply credit. I think I have done this last time, right? When it comes to users collection, just spend about 1 minute to read step by step 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now, number 5 is when the collecting bank or presenting bank receives the documents, we inform the drawee. That's what we call present. We present documents. We present the documents. Present but we inform. Then it is a DA. No, the importer will come to the bank and accept the draft. Right? And then we will release the documents. Once we release the documents, on the maturity date, they will come to the bank and settle the bill. Then, once the bills are settled, we deduct our charges. Collecting bank, we have bank charges. So they will deduct our charges and send the money to the remitting bank. Then the remitting bank will release the money to exporter, deducting their charges. May hamadhanama less charges. Hey, less charges can because worldwide the banks are not charitable organizations. We are not Dansel. We are doing a business. That is why we have to deduct our charges for our service. Right? Here, number 6, accept draft. The importer has to accept draft. That's a very, very important thing. So don't get upset or offended because I'm taking Singer. Singer is the best, what do you call this, example I can take. Right?
It's pleasure to be sir. Don't worry.
Okay. Now we have informed Singer that we have received a DA bill. So the DA bill, when we issue, inform the Singer will come and accept the draft. Who are the authorized signatories to this acceptance? Maybe very top people, very top guys. They are the authorized signatories. So can we ask the group head of what do you call the finance to come to the bank to sign the draft, or group head of a corporate or what do you call this forex or exchange? What is your department, Sumudhu? Treasury. Yeah, group head of treasury to come and sign the draft. They will not come to the bank. They will not come. Who comes to the bank?
Yes.
Who comes to the bank? WAF clerk.
Agent will come.
Only the WAF clerk, right? Or the agent. WAF clerk will come. WAF will hand over the bill to the WAF clerk. Then they will take it to the company and then get it accepted and come and give it to us. Right? How do we know whether, okay, for example, we say group head of operations or group treasury has to sign. How do we know whether group treasury head has signed this? The bank. අපි දන්නේ නැහැ.
Verify signature.
අර ගොඩාක් ඕක වෙනවා. වෝෆ් ක්ලාක්ලා acceptance එක දුන්නාම draft එක දුන්නාම එයාගේ එකත් අරගෙන යනවා ළමයා ඉස්කෝලෙන් අරගෙන ඔක්කොම මෝටර් බයික්ස් වල එන්නේ. ළමයා ඉස්කෝලෙන් අරන් ළමයා ගෙදර දාලා කාලා බීලා ඔක්කොම කරලා නින්දකුත් ගාලා ඒ අතර දැන් මේ දැන් යනවා වගේ මැච් එකකුත් යනවා නම් ඒ මැච් එකත් බලලා ඔක්කොම කරලා දෙසර මතක් වෙනවා draft එක. ඔය වෝෆ් ක්ලාක්ලාගේ සාක්කුවේ තියෙනවා සිංග මේ රබර් ස්ටෑම්ප් එක ඕල් තරම්. ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ සාක්කුවල තියෙනවා. ගැහුවා රබර් ස්ටෑම්ප් එක ගැහුවා අසන කාගේ අසනක් ගැහුවා ගෑලන් දෙනවා. So we'll have to accept it. So එහෙම වුණොත් is a collecting bank is responsible. Is a collecting bank is
No, sir.
for not checking the signature.
No, sir, we are not.
Hmm?
It just need to be signed නේ සර්. sign විතරයි තියෙන්න ඕනේ. sign එක verify කරන්න
Sign එක
ඕනේ නැහැ නේද?
as per the article 22 it has to be accepted in a proper manner. Proper manner කියන්නේ accepted කියලා stamp එක තියෙන්න ඕන. company stamp එක තියෙන්න ඕන. ඒක sign කරලා තියෙන්න ඕන. ඒක Wolf Clark කියලා හරියන්නේ නැහැ. අපිට ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. හැබැයි as a prudent bank මම නම් කියන්නේ as per article 9 the bank has to act more we have to have responsibility නේ. චුට්ටක් බැලුවොත් හොඳයි. හැබැයි සිංගර් එකට බෑ පස්සේ කේස් එකක් ඇදගෙන එන්න බැංක් එකට විරුද්ධව as per article 22 of URC bank is covered. Right? ඔන්න ඊට පස්සේ due date එකේදී සුමුද වෙනවා ලියුමක්. Don't pay this. This has not been signed by us, by authorized signatories. This has been signed by unauthorized junior clerk. So we are not obliged to pay. What can we do? What can we do? අපිට මුකුත් කරන්න බෑ. We have to debit the customer. We have to sort it out, right? Well, ඔතෙන්දී කොයි issue එකක් එනවා remitting bank එකට අපිට කියන්න බෑ we have received a letter like this. This was signed by a junior clerk, so they refused to take. So we'll have to tell the company, after 90 days on the due date, you are telling me now what happened to these goods, whether it has been signed by Wolf Clark or not. You have taken the goods, you have sold the goods, you have to prove that. So don't try to come and do the cussed thing now. ඒ වගේ අපිට කතා කරලා කියන්න වෙනවා. right? මේ ඔක්කොම ගත්ත බඩු තිබුණලා ඉවරයිනේ. මේ මේකක් අල්ලගෙන දඟලන්න බෑ. right? දැන් මේක unauthorized signature කියලා කියන්න බෑ. ඉතින් ඔක හරීම dicey areas. right? okay. then acceptance for our මේකත් පුළුවන් ඉක්මනට අපි කර කරන්න බලමු. බලන්න පුළුවන් වේද කියලා මට. ඒක උරත් බෙදෙනවා. තව සයිට් 6ක් විතර තියෙනවා අපිට ඉවර කරන්න පුළුවන්. right. Acceptance for aval or avalization. This is an alternative to straightforward DA. In a normal straightforward DA, we say accepted and on the due date we will pay. If the customer doesn't pay, we will inform the remitting bank. But under avalization or pour aval, it's a French word, right? Avalization killer. This avalization word is not there in the Oxford Dictionary also. Oxford Dictionary got name avalization killer was in it. Going out done right? For aval කියන එක තමයි කැඩිලා එවිලා තියෙන්නේ. When it comes to avalization, we say release documents against acceptance for aval. Release documents against acceptance for aval. එහෙම නැත්නම් කියනවා please release documents against avalization. Right? Means that the bill of exchange must be accepted by the drawee. The importer has to accept and then guaranteed for payment at maturity by the drawee's bankers. Only then maybe the document be released. You got it? Once the drawee accepts the bill, it has to be guaranteed for payment at maturity by the drawee's bankers. Then only the documents will be released. Right? Bank advances against avalized bills, where export collection bills are avalized by the importer's bank, the latter unconditionally guaranteed to honor payment at maturity, and the risk is against the importer's bank. It's a very good tool. When the exporter's bill, when we request them to avalize, and if it is avalized by the importer's bank, right, then the importer's bank has unconditionally guaranteed the payment. It is like a LC, just like a LC, right? Document check but payment is guaranteed, right? So this is a very good tool. But when you are asking the bank, you have to have agreement with the collecting bank that they are ready to avalize the bill. So when they avalize the bill, they will request the importer to keep sufficient security with them because they are irrevocably liable to pay. The following general guidelines apply to avalization should be noted. Endorsements examined to ensure that it is indeed an avalization or not. When they make it important, the customer has accepted the draft, then we are also avalizing. The bank is also avalizing. එතින්දී අපිට කියන්න අර එකට යටින් බැංක් එක ස්ටැම්ප් එකක් ගහලා මේ accepted කියලා ගහලා බැංක් එක sign කරලා තිබුණොත් it is not a avalization. Specifically they have to mention avalized. Avalized කියන වචනේ නැත්නම් it is not an avalization. Right? Unlike those days when we first start trade, මේ ඔක්කොම අපි avalize කරපු bills අපි යවනවා අර country එකට. දැන් එහෙම bills වල යවන්නේ නැහැ. ඒවා අපි collecting bank එකේ තියාගන්නවා. We send the authenticated paper that we have avalized this bill. Bank and countries should be checked to ensure that they are acceptable for the amount and the period of the bill. Right? Understood? Otherwise, if the bank in Syria or Myanmar, if they are avalizing bills, there's no point, right? If some unrelated bank is avalizing the bill, no point. Even the blood bank is a bank. Blood bank got avalize right? The bank risk is very, very important. Signatures on the bank avalization should be checked to ensure that the signatories are authorized to commit the avalizing bank. Unlike the acceptance by the drawee, avalization part of the bank has to be signed by the authorized signatories. Okay? Where the amount is large, telex confirmation may be obtained. The bill should be diarized for presentment at maturity. Right of recourse against the export customer in the event of dishonor. Okay? Collection avalized, nuisance DA, very much similar to the nuisance DA. And then up to number 7 is okay. Then number 8, අර කලින් ගියේ payment එකනේ නෑ. දැන් එන්නේ once you release the document, we avalize the draft and send it to the remitting bank. The remitting bank will pay exporter immediately. They will get the money immediately. They don't wait till 120 days or 90 days. Right? So on maturity, they will pay number 11. And then once they pay, we will deduct our charges and pay the remitting bank. Right? Remitting bank they have already discounted the bill. If there's anything balance to be given, they will give that balance. Otherwise, that's it, right? General guidelines to evaluation, endorsement examine to ensure that is indeed an evaluation. Meeting okkomang kalin kala. Advantages of evaluation collection over users DCs, lower usage of limits, document check-in not required. Hence, no issue of discrepant documents. DC ke ape document checking karan then purely for credit support on accepted collection. Right? Okay, we managed to finish. Quickly, Yandaman meeting. Till 5:50 we have time. Which of the following is not acceptable way of indicating the maturity date of a term bill? Assume the bill was drawn on 25th June 2007.
C.
Very good. Very good. "30 days after arrival of goods." බ්‍රහ්ම කතාවන්නේ කවද මේක එයිද ඌද නැව ගිලෙයිද නේද? ඔක හරීම uncertainty එක. Very good. 2. Name 4 issues and problems that banks handling collection often have to deal with. මතකද? මතකද? කියන්න බෑ.
Inadequate instructions.
Yeah, inadequate instructions. Fine.
No instructions. No instructions given.
Yeah, okay. That also we can take. Absence of
Instructions.
absence of instructions. Then
Inappropriate instructions.
ඒකයි කිව්වා ඒකත් කිව්වනේ. තව මොනවාද? Issuance of shipping guarantees. Then acknowledgements. You can read this thing. A collection order is what is it? A, B, C or D? මේක යන්න මම දන්නේ නෑනේ. අපේ පිරිමි ළමයි විතරනේ කතා කරන්නේ. රජයි. මම හිතන්නේ majority ඉන්නේ girls ලා. මොකද උත්තරේ?
B, sir.
B. A set of instructions for a bank. An exporter is worried about the financial stability of an overseas customer. In which of these collection scenarios can the exporter maintain control over the goods? An overseas customer, in which of these collection scenarios can the exporter maintain control over the goods?
A, sir.
Very good. Very good. At last, a sweet voice was there. Documents against payment, goods sent by sea. West Bank send a collection on behalf of one of their exporters to their correspondent North Bank. So West Bank is which bank?
Remitting bank.
Remitting bank. North Bank?
Collecting.
North Bank?
Collecting.
Collecting bank. Very good. North Bank pass it on to the importer's bank, East Bank. Then the East Bank is?
Presenting bank.
Presenting bank. Very good. East Bank contact the importer and request payment. How many collecting banks are there? මේක න ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෙමෙයි මේක නිකන් අර හරියට අර සිරසේ ලක්ෂපති ප්‍රශ්නයක් වගේ. ලොකුවට හිතන්න ගියොත් වැරදි. යාන්තම් වෙලාවට හිතුවොත් යන්න පුළුවන්. ඔය identify කරන්න ඕන collecting bank. Then how many collecting banks are there? Only one. Only one neither. As per the above example, how many presenting banks are there? Ekat one, ne? Ekat one. Hari. Now, I just want to do something very, very important. Actually, I was planning to do this exercise from next week at the class. But unfortunately, we'll have to postpone it indefinitely, right? But till then, I want you to read the URC 522. Last week also I told, now 14 days have gone, 26 articles. If you read 2 articles per day, you can finish it off in 13 days. Every day, before you go to bed, read 2 articles. But when it comes to Article 9, 3 articles. Article 9 එක එක line එකයිනේ. With reasonable care නේ තියෙන්නේ. Right? එතන 9, 10, 11 වගේ යන්නේ. කොහොමද articles දෙක ගන්න කියවන්නේ. I was planning to discuss these articles. I was planning to entrust these articles to you and then discuss it at the class. So, one of you, for example, සුමුදට මං කියන article 1 කියලා. තව girl කෙනෙක්ට මං කියන article 2 කියලා. තව කෙනෙක් article 3 මං කලින් දෙනවා. දීලා තව සුමානකින් තමයි discuss කරන්නේ. ඒතර ඔයා discuss කරන්නේ මේ article එක විතරයි. Right? So you will be leading and I will be a student at that time. Right? මම පැත්තක ඉන්නවා. මම ඔන්න support එකක් දෙනවා. අරගොල්ලෝ තමයි lead කරන්නේ. This is the best way to learn. Right? But anyway, unfortunately, we can't do it. So, till we do that practical session of discussing, can you please go through these articles and learn? Right? Next week, I 1 to 5 වගේ articles ටික මේක ඉවර කරන්න බලන්න. Right? එතකොට මට ලේසි උගලත් එක්ක ඉවරයක් කරන්න. Article 1 එක මම කරන්නම්. Definition of collection මම කරලා තියෙන්නේ. Parties to a collection කරලා තියෙන්නේ. 2 3 ඉවරයි. Article 4 මම උගලත් එක්ක කළා. Right? කියවන්න විතරයි තියෙන්නේ. මට discuss කරන්න නෑ. Presentation කරන්න ඕන. Site acceptance, release of commercial documents, Article 7 මම කරලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒ වගේ අපිට යන්න පුළුවන්. Creation of documents පුළුවන් තරම් අපි ටික කරමු. හැබැයි ඕගොල්ලෝ කියවලගෙන එන්න. Right? Okay. Wish you all the best. Good luck. Be safe. Right? And we'll meet next week. Most probably I might come to the IBSL. Today I didn't come to the IBSL because I'm self-quarantined at home. Thank God. Don't worry. Today is my ninth day. Right? No issue. There are matter than that issue. ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ යහපතට ඉන්න මොකද මම කන්ටැක්ට්ස් කීපයක් එක්ක මම හිටියා ඒකින්ද ඒගොල්ලෝ ඔක්කොම දැන් IDH එකේ ICU වල ඒකින්දයි මම ගෙදරට වෙලා ඉන්නේ ළමයි වෙනුවෙන් මගේ chance එකක්වත් ගන්න කැමති නෑ පැත්තකට වෙලා ඉන්නවා next week we'll meet again okay